Week to week, we love bringing on guests. Like I shared with you, some are entertaining, some are just fun, some are educational. Tonight, we've got all three. We have got one of my dearest friends in the whole world, Buddy Money. Buddy Money, welcome to Listen to the Eagle, Alabama.
Bert, it is a thrill being in this chair. I sat in a chair similar to this, I guess, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I hate the circumstances by which I'm sitting here tonight. However, it is certainly, I hope the next 55 minutes are going to be a lot of fun, educational, and at the same time, if I'm entertaining, Bert, I mean,
Buddy,
I'm throwing it out there.
You can't help but be entertaining. I've known you for too long.
I'm glad you're saying that because I have certainly withdrawn to another part of this world in the past several years.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm here. So
Well,
let's
look,
take the next 55 minutes. Let's go back in time.
Yeah.
And let's just play and have fun.
Well, look, I love that you're here on several reasons. Number one, because I hadn't seen you in a while, and I love you, and I've missed you. Second, I dare say that I would think 80 to 90% of our listeners are just like me when it comes to Lyme disease, okay? I know it exists, and I know that it comes from a tick. But up until you shared your story with me a couple of months ago, I don't know that I've ever personally known anybody with Lyme disease, or I probably did and was not aware of it. Now, what I would like to do is for our listeners, if you don't mind, take us through and share your story, because here's what I'm learning. After talking to you and wanting to do this show and to educate our listeners and the people across the state, this is something that is devastating if it's not detected. But if it is detected, it can be treated in about 3 to 4 weeks and you're fine. But if it's not, it can really turn your life upside down, a.k.a. I'm looking at someone that has done that too.
I'm upside down. You can't tell. I'm on my head every day.
Yeah, it's not funny, but share with us. So you go float the river and?
Bert, 2012, Memorial Day weekend. I'm with two wonderful people, and we're floating, I guess we would call it Shades Creek. Okay. Unfortunately, that day and that week leading up, there wasn't a lot of water. So canoeing, when you don't have a lot of water, I did a lot of walking.
Yeah.
And I was with two people that had never really canoed before.
Yeah.
Wonderful people. But
it wasn't quite like canoeing the Bogachita like we used to do.
No, sir. We were pulling canoes. We were not we were not floating canoes.
Okay.
By the time we got out of the water, I was infested with ticks.
Okay.
And I can't tell you how many times in my life I've had ticks on me. It didn't
I've
mean
had 'em.
anything to me.
I grew up in Southwest Mississippi with ticks everywhere.
I mean, right now, Mitch, and I feel like I've got one on me just talking about it. But, so I get out and take them off and get in the shower that evening and wake up the next morning and I have a tick on me.
Yeah.
And I have known that if you have a tick implanted deeply, has bitten you, and, like we hear the old saying, full of the tick behind the hound dog's ear.
Right.
That's how it was on my rear end. So I'm just going to put it out there. It was full. It was big.
Misconception. Let me interrupt. I always heard you don't need to be concerned about ticks, and the only way you're in trouble is if they get in your hair. Misconception? Wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's big time wrong. Okay. Tick was planted in me, and quite frankly, it wasn't full. It was deep within me.
Okay.
And I had a bullseye tattoo, for lack of a better term.
Because of this bite?
Because of this bite. Just imagine a small bullseye, let's say 2 or 3 inches in diameter, and the very center of it is another dark area with the tick embedded. And I made a big mistake, and this is what I told you just a moment ago. I knew better. I knew better than to pull this tick out, because...
Should have gone to the doctor.
Should have gone to the doctor. Or find the type of attention where you should have gone to the doctor. Okay. I'm going to say it for the record.
Yeah,
go to the doctor. Bottom line, have this tick removed. I did not. Pulled it out.
Time marches on.
Let's say a month and a half later, I'm bedridden.
But at the time, for the next couple of weeks, you don't think about it.
No, well, I couldn't think, Bert. There were things going on in my life. I'm going to say, physically, emotionally, just career.
What a lot of people are facing out there.
Everyday life.
Yeah, so a tick is the last thing on your mind.
Self-employed person, I'm challenged with many things. A father, I'm challenged with many things. Friends, challenging. Life, challenging. But something's going on with me, and I could tell. And both physically, neurologically, having pains, confusion. But I got to a point very quickly where I was literally bedridden. July, I'm going to visit UAB rheumatologist, infectious disease.
And you
to
don't
figure
know.
out, I didn't know what was going on. I'm scared to death
Yeah.
because I knew something was going on, but the people around me, my loved ones,
They don't
they just
know.
thought it was old buddy money.
Right.
You know, they thought it was just another.
Well, and
buddy
number
just-
two, that tick bite is far from your mind. That doesn't have
last
anything
thing,
to do with it.
Last thing on my mind
Has
was
nothing
the
to
tick
do
bite.
with what's you're going on.
No, not at all. You never. In fact, the tick bite, it came months down the road, and so I go through that summer, seeing doctor after doctor,
Trying to diagnose what's
trying
happening.
to run my business, trying to be a father, trying to be a fiance, trying to be a good man,
Yeah.
and everything around me inside my body is failing. I'm talking about my muscles, my bones, my joints, my connective tissue. Connective tissue is your bone, your teeth, your hair, your skin. I mean, everything about me just literally
And
turned
you're
upside down.
you're going to a doctor appointment after doctor appointment.
Bert, I will tell you this. I have never been a good patient,
Yeah.
but I was doing the best I could. I was going to appointment after appointment. At the same time, we talked about running a business. We both know, Bert, how tough it can be when you're sitting there
Oh, well,
with
let's
something
be
so
honest.
unknown.
Yeah.
One doctor's appointment a month
Yeah.
is tough to even get to. But,
Yeah.
man, I had them day after day, week after week.
And you're being the typical guy that's out there driving and listening to us today. Oh, it's nothing. I'll be okay. I don't need to go to that doctor's appointment.
No, actually, I became a worry wart.
Really?
Yeah, and because you stretch back to 2007,
Yeah.
I would have never been a worry wart.
Right.
When responsibilities such as the I love yous of the world,
Yeah.
Daddy, I love yous,
Yeah.
the people that say I love you, the people I say I love you to,
Yeah.
the people that depend on me to help create a paycheck, those responsibilities, the Lord,
Yeah.
the responsibilities to my heart, to my Christian life, everything. I didn't know how to prioritize.
Yeah.
I was very worried because, again, there was physiological
Things
and
going
emotional symptoms that I had never experienced. And it like anything else in life, when you face something new, you can either just tough it up and just put your brass knuckles on and go fight and just go.
Okay.
But I had nowhere to turn. I didn't know what was. Nobody could give me an answer.
Well, all right. So that's my
Doctors
next
were
question.
the absolute worst thing that happened to me early on because everybody was telling
You
me I had
couldn't-
everything in the book.
You couldn't get it diagnosed. Doctors were making educational guesses, correct? How long did this go on? How long did it go on
I
before
tested-
somebody said, you have Lyme disease, Buddy Money?
I tested positive for different types of blood tests 12 times for Lyme disease.
For Lyme's. And they kept,
And they, being physicians, the clinical diagnosis was there 2 years after the bite.
are you sharing with me that you feel?
And it came not because of the actual test. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I'm listening.
There were several types of tests, but blood tests are the most common. A couple of blood tests, and then a doctor. There's out there doctors that are dedicated to Lyme disease.
Okay, but your personal story, are you sharing with me, but which we'll get to in the next segment, that there is a big movement to make everybody aware of Lyme disease and to bring it to the forefront. But do you feel that on purpose, because of where you live and where you were, that doctors were saying there's no way this is Lyme disease?
Bert, Lyme disease, the only person that even brought up the conversation or the words Lyme disease was the wonderful girl I was dating at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because she saw and read about the symptoms
Right.
and said, you've got this. This is who you are. And we brought it to physicians' attention.
Right.
And we tested, sure, and yes, I tested positive here, may have tested negative here. But again, due to the geographical aspects of Lyme's disease, or when I say geographical aspects, Lyme's disease has traditionally been a northern infectious disease.
Mm-hmm.
It is just as dominant in the south as it is in the north.
It's
today.
here.
Let me tell you something. It's here, and the little ninjas are out there waiting to get you.
Them little tick ninjas.
Tick ninjas, and the hunters and fishers of
We
Alabama.
need to know.
They need to know.
Tonight we're trying to make awareness for you in the outdoors of Lyme disease. We've got the one and only Buddy Money, who is a Lyme disease survivor, right now in studio. We've kind of shared his story on the first segment. In case you missed that, please go to listentotheeagle.com and go to the archives and get caught up. Buddy, you and I talked. This is something that's real. It's here in Alabama. It's in our outdoors, and we want to make our listeners, especially our hunters and fishermen, aware of it. We're to the point. You're going to doctors and you're going to doctors. Things are going on in your body that you can't find an answer. I want to kind of fast forward a little bit. You're here now. You're diagnosed. You get that final test, and they say you have Lyme disease. Now, before you talk, let me help my listeners. And what I want you to be aware of out there in the audience, it's hard to be diagnosed. If you don't know what's going on and the doctors are having a hard time, share with them, test me for Lyme disease so you know. Because the deal is, buddy, what I've learned, look, I got, as our listeners see, I've got documents after documents. I can't study all this. But on the short story, I've learned from you, early detection can be handled easy. Treatment, you're okay. You let this go, you're in trouble and you're in a battle. And that's where you are now. So you get the diagnosis. Buddy Money, you have Lyme disease and you've had it for now well over a year.
Bert, I'm speechless because the devastation, and I'm going to use words that can only be used when one has gone through a horrible time of their life.
Now keep in mind, we're on television and radio.
I understand the devastation that was done by that time, and we're talking a year to 2 years well into what I call a chronic Lyme phase. Acute, what you just said.
Right.
Acute phase is when you just first bitten by the tick.
But let me also share. This isn't woe is me, feel sorry for Buddy Money. I've been reading story after story after story that matches up just like you. So this is happening, not just Buddy Money. This happening to people in our state of Alabama over and over and over.
Wonderful organization called Living with Lymes in Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's a group of great people that have stories 10 times worse than mine. Their stories, in fact, on Netflix. And I'm going to tell you, for those people that really, really have an interest, I just want to give you a little bit of statistics.
Sure.
Netflix has a video called Under Our Skin, and it details the story of a young woman, and I believe, if I'm correct, it details her life for 9 years as she suffered from Lyme's. It's horrible, Bert, to watch this woman go through what she did go through. She lost everything. Her children, she lost her husband, she lost her life. She had a checkbook of tears. But also, let me tell you some famous people who've lived with Lyme's that still either suffer or challenge with it every single day. The President of the United States, George W. Bush, let's call him Jr.
W. He's got Lyme?
He suffered with Lyme's, but he was what I'll say one of the acute phase Lyme's patients where doctors caught it quick, and simple antibiotics took it. Healed him just like that. And
Wow.
I say healed him. I use that for lack of a better term. Richard Gere, Ben Stiller, the singer Avril Lavigne. I've always said that name wrong. Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates. You know, that's back in our time. Back in high school. Great, great musicians. There's a lot of famous people out there with Lyme's disease. And there's people out there that have suffered, that got into a phase like what I say that I've gotten into, which is called a chronic phase.
Okay.
And that literally, Lyme's disease is a bacterial infection. And
that comes from a tick in our outdoors.
That's in our outdoors. It is in the shape of a ninja. And that little tick is running around. Yeah. But the tick, it's, they refer to it as a deer tick. And you'll find pictures of it, of course, on Google. And it literally can impact and let's just say we've used the word upside down. It'll turn physiological parts of your body, your nervous system, your joints and bones. It will impact all of these systems to a point where your normal day-to-day life has gone from walking around to where you're riding around in a wheelchair.
Well, let me just be blunt and honest. You showed up here. I met you in front of the studio, and we have to walk up about 15 to 20 stairs to get to the studio, and I heard you just kind of go,
I can't.
Bert,
I've had experiences just in the past 3 years. They're horrible experiences.
and
falling downstairs, and I was in my house for 3 days before my dad found me with the fire department.
Right.
I mean,
and we're talking about a guy 5 years ago that me and you were running around, and you couldn't beat me, but we would race in the 40 all the time.
That's right. and when I say literally fell down the steps and was just trapped because I couldn't move. But the symptoms, I'd love to sit here and go through the symptoms.
Yeah, let's talk about them.
But there's pages.
But let's just talk about some that people need to be aware of.
Rash,
Okay.
that bullseye, headaches, flu-like symptoms. If you know you've been in the outdoors,
And you start.
let's first do the basic things. Off makes tick repellent.
Okay.
Let's do today when you know that little ninja's out there. Take some common sense steps to protect
Keep him
yourself.
away.
And we're not talking about just hunters and fishers, gardeners.
Yeah.
Anybody
Boaters
that's out,
on the lake.
outdoorsmen. I mean, just anybody that finds themselves outdoors. Protect yourselves. Protect your kids. Mothers, if you know you love your children, protect your children, because this also impacts children just like it would adults.
Oh, yeah.
And so you'll see rashes, you'll have flu-like symptoms, you'll have headaches, you'll have vision impairment. With me, I watch my vision literally. My job was to manage people. My job was to look at a computer and study numbers.
Yeah.
I got to a point where I literally could not see the screen of a computer screen.
All right. Well, let's talk about this before we go to this next break.
On a 200 magnification.
And then we're going to come back and talk more about awareness and where people can go to learn more. But before we do that, are you on an upswing now? Is there a cure? Is the treatment helping? And is there hope?
Bert, I've suffered. Everybody has their own ways to deal and cope.
Mm-hmm.
I am one of those that has not done the best job in the past 3 years of my life.
Right.
I have withdrawn, and many things have happened to me during this illness.
Sure.
And to answer your question, I have suffered from other illnesses that could have developed as a result of Lyme disease.
Right.
They could have been prevented based on medications, for example, Bert, can create problems. You know, when you're taking a host of medications, when you're taking too many antibiotics, that can create problems. So everybody has their own story.
Well, let me share this with you, though. You look good.
Oh, Bert, back in 2011, and we always, when you start sentences with, man, back then.
Oh, yeah, back then.
Or you ain't going to believe this. Yeah. You know those phrases.
I know that, but I just mean you look normal. If I didn't know any better, I'd have never dreamed that you're sitting here suffering.
December or last year, this time last year, I truly thought my life was getting better.
Yeah.
Some things happened in my life where physically, mentally challenged.
Yeah.
December, I saw myself getting better.
Okay.
And getting treatment.
Yeah.
And getting infectious disease treatment. Getting treatment by doctors that focus on Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And now in 2015, however, unfortunately, I've had other illnesses that have popped up, per se. Yeah. That are going to be more of a struggle now than what Lyme's was. But I'm a fighter.
I know that.
I'm a fighter. And I'm going to tell you what, you're right, awareness is key. Education is key to everything we do in life. But simple awareness right now.
Well, with that point, we're going to go to break. And when we come back, I want to now talk about where to go, all the good things to make our listeners aware of how to learn more about this disease and the future. Okay?
We got it.
All right.